Good evening, friends, and welcome to day 109 of A Poem a Day for 2026. It's Sunday, the weekend is nearly over, and I come bearing poetry. I have a sleepy cat behind me on the bed. Possibly can't see him because there's clothes on the bed. I haven't physically done much today, but I've done admin stuff. And a chunk of that means that I'm waiting for replies from people. But I've done things, so I feel somewhat vindicated. I hung some washing that needed doing, so yeah. I've only got 5 days left at work until I'm off for 2 weeks, which I think may be the longest break I've had from work ever. Voluntarily, I've had extended periods of absence, like sick absence. So that's pretty exciting. I'm pretty sure when it's time for me to go back, I will have to drag myself kicking and screaming. Or I'll just be really sad about it. But I'm not going to borrow sadness from the future. I'm just going to look forward to what is to come and let future Ren deal with that. So, let's see what we have in store today. Big Red Book, which is now probably, clashing quite violently with my hair. Okay, so 19th of April we have Concord Hymn by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and our blurb reads as follows. The Battle of Lexington and Concord, the opening battle of the American Revolutionary War, took place on this day in 1775 in the state of Massachusetts. Concord is a place of great importance in American literature, as it was the home of the philosopher-poets Emerson and Henry David Thoreau, as well as the author of Little Women, Louisa May Alcott. Little shout out to my boyfriend. His daughter recently performed in a play of Little Women, and from what I hear, she was absolutely fantastic, and I'm incredibly proud. So this is Concord Hymn by Ralph Waldo Emerson. By the rude bridge that arched the flood, their flag's April's breeze unfurled. Here once the embattled farmers stood, and fired the shot heard around the world. The foe long since in silence slept, alike the conqueror silent sleeps, and time the ruined bridge has swept down the dark stream which seaward creeps. On this green bank, by this soft stream, we set today a votive stone, that memory may their deed redeem, when like our sires our sons are gone. Spirit that made those heroes dare to die and leave their children free, bid time and nature gently spare the shaft we raise to them and thee. I will be honest that I don't have a lot of great educational knowledge about American history, American Civil War, and the American Revolution. It's not something that I was taught in school. It's quite interesting. My brother did quite a lot of American history at school. We did go to different secondary schools. And he was 3 years older than me. And I recall that something that he studied in great detail during history was the Kennedy assassination, and kind of that time period. So he held on to a lot of resources that he'd studied, with the intention of passing them on to me when I got to that point in history, and point of studying things in history. And it turned out that for whatever reason, whether it was the fact that I was at a different school or the fact that the curriculum alternates and such, but we ended up studying Nazi Germany, and I fell headlong into Kristallnacht and bombings and Auschwitz and all kinds of stuff, and I wouldn't call myself an expert by any means. I mean, it was year 9 up to GCSE, and definitely wouldn't call yourself an expert by that stretch. But it was definitely something that interested me, and yeah, it was very interesting to learn about. As a segue, because I'm always want to do, a very vivid memory that was in context to what we were studying at the time. It's just an image in one of our books of a German person taking a barrow full of Deutschmark to the shop to buy a loaf of bread, because the value of money in Germany basically dropped to nothing. Money was worthless because of the damage that the Nazis were doing, and a loaf of bread was something like 2 million Deutschmark. And if you think in terms of like conversion, think of like rupees to the pound, that kind of thing. It was astronomical. And that image, it's kind of seared into my mind. Yeah, just as a segue point. But oddly enough, through listening to my true crime podcasts, particularly My Favourite Murder, which I mentioned recently, I misnamed one of the hosts, Georgia Hardstock, not Georgina, and to a lesser extent another podcast, and That's Why We Drink. They talk about, both podcasts have talked a lot about historical matters, whether they be crimes or events, with knowledge and detail. And I have learned things about those periods of time, because obviously it's stuff that they would have studied at school and they'd know about, and it's their history and their culture. An episode I listened to today talked in depth about one of the first what's the word? One of the first hospital wards in San Francisco, Hospital 5B, Ward 5B, that was caring exclusively for people infected by by AIDS and HIV, because obviously in the 80s they didn't know what it was, and it was predominantly impacting gay men, and they were being ostracised by communities, and it was awful, and some medical professionals stepped up, along with a lot of lesbian women, and supported those men through a lot of death, and obviously when medication was found, supported them through stabilising things. But yeah, hearing about the gay man who was a nurse who founded that ward was truly fascinating. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is listening to these podcasts has helped me learn more about the history of other cultures and other nations, which is an education I didn't necessarily get at school. So I am thankful for that. done that thing where I haven't spoken to anybody all day, so I'm verbally spewing at you all, and I apologise for that. I retract my apology, because it's not a bad thing to talk. I hope you've all had a good Sunday, and I hope that you're all feeling rested and prepared for the week ahead. I think I might be. I don't know. I'm going to go and fuss some cats, and I think I'm going to settle back on the sofa for some more Derry Girls. I started watching that this afternoon. It's been recommended to me for literal years, and I just decided to put it on today, and I'm really enjoying it. If you haven't watched it before, strongly recommend. And I'm learning bits and pieces about the Troubles in Northern Ireland. So, educational round. Until tomorrow, when we hit day 110, I wish you all a very good